Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. We are back. Me and Kev are back, but we have well. Now we hit 1,000 subscribers. Kev, you just talk to us about what it's been like in the Villa Park Pod WhatsApp group.
Well, do you know what? I've got to talk about it. I've been on the pod now about a year and a bit, right? Just kind of languishing in the doldrums before I kind of got involved. And I kind of feel like, it's gone up a notch now. Like when they move shows from BBC Two to BBC One, right? And yeah, I mean, obviously we've done some great work. There's been a few people here and there. But since we've hit 1,000, my God, you're like, when someone's got a mate that's in Towie and then they're all out at Facey's nightclub trying to get a bit of the action.
Absolutely. Or you win the lottery and all of a sudden all your mates come screaming back. Yeah.
Just before you do it, for those of you who are like Soap fans, remember when Den Watts we thought had died? Remember we thought Den Watts was dead, and then all of a sudden, Dirty Den Watts out of nowhere made a return. Could that be prophetic?
It could be because I'm gonna bring my old podcast partner, the founding member of the Villa Park podcast.
The OG.
I don't know if he's going to do a surprise jump out, but is he here? I mean, this sums him up. To be fair.
How was that introduction? Listen, your analogy was good, but I'd almost put it down to my analogy to be like, I put some of the bricks in when the first job on a new house started, and then I left, and now I'm asking for the key back. Now it's got like the jacuzzi out the back, and you got the loft conversion. Thank you for having me back on.
Oh, mate, always welcome.
It wouldn't be here without you, Richard.
Exactly.
All jokes aside, it wouldn't be here without you. You two are the originals. So, all jokes aside, it's great to have you here, the original. So, yeah, good to talk to you about the Villa.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, it's just coincidental that there's now 1,000 people that subscribe. I'm here for the love of the Villa.
Yeah, the glory. It comes in getting the glory now, doesn't he? Comes in and gets the glory. But
listen. Well, one thing that I've got that I noticed that neither of you have now. We're 1,000 subscribers. We need to up our game. I've got myself a huge podcast light. Look at this.
Oh yes,
I look amazing. I look like I've been in my bed for 4 weeks.
Yeah, you do.
Kevin, you look like you're in the corner of a supermarket or something. Like
I look like Dirty Den Watts now.
Yeah. You do. Well, yeah, and to be honest, this light's been gathering dust in my garden office for the last year and a half, so it's good. I'm surprised it still works.
Well, Rich, with this wonderful conversation, I bet all the viewers are glad you're back. So thank you for
see you in 8 months.
Right, let's get into the comments and actually talk about a certain match that's coming up on Saturday. Brush, Man United fans, got his popcorn ready. Michael, as always, good evening, mate. Gary, hello everyone. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
Sam is in as if, and he's also said, "Where were you, Kev?" With one listener all month.
Wasn't invited then.
Duncan's in. Yeah. Marcus putting the bins out. He'll be back in 5. You got to remember to put those bins out. Got to remember. Oh no, fame's gone to your head, Kev. Apparently, definitely.
I'm okay.
Alfie says, "Evening all. Belgian Villas in the house. Good evening. We should be called Aldi Villa because we give goals away so cheaply. I like it." John said, "This will be a tight game. Some team advice. We'll get into that. Coutinho has to start. I think Young replaces Cash. One change to the starting them from last week. On balance, we should win, but we should have beaten Leicester too." Very wise words, John. We've got your predicted lineups. We've got plenty of predicted lineups tonight. Michael Parsons, hi everyone. Duncan, typical get a new manager bounce with Dyche, but we're more than capable of winning. And David says, even though you have hit the big time, keep it real and honest. Of course, mate. Of course.
Never change it. Never change
it. Of course. So to a couple of comments there, lads, on the back of basically, facing Everton, new manager, Sean Dyche in. They've won 2 out of 3. And it is potentially going to be a tough game than we probably anticipated it to be. But again, a game that Villa should win really, and hopefully get us back on track.
Are you asking that too, Rich?
Whoever.
Rich, you go. Rich, you go.
Everton just can't score goals, and Calvert-Lewin. I don't know if he'll be fit for Saturday. He's been injured the last couple of games, and is it Elliot Sims, a young lad that they've got up front? And on paper, they've got quality, and I just think that, I don't know, over the last 5-6 years, they've had so many different managers with so many different ideas. And I think Sean Dyche is a brilliant appointment. I think Everton are a brilliant club. Been to Goodison Park many times. And I think there's a real connection between Villa and Everton. We're similar size with our fan base, with our success. I think it's going to be interesting because Everton are where we were just before we got relegated, kicking around that plug hole for, a couple of seasons, and you either need something to really go your way or you end up getting relegated. I have a bit more of a soft spot now for Everton. So my sister-in-law is their head of people operations. So I want them to stay up because it means that she stays in a job. But my brother-in-law is a Leeds fan, so it got a bit interesting in their house on Saturday. Just something's missing at Everton, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a belief thing, but I think Sean Dyche will have, over the last few weeks, stripped it back to basics and got his message across quite clearly. I listened to a podcast with him on it not so long back, and he's just a good bloke that did really, really well at Burnley. And his luck just ran out after, was it 9 seasons he was there for?
Yeah. I think they, I mean, to be fair, looking at how well Vincent Kompany's doing there, they probably just needed a little bit of freshening up. But he's a good manager. Kev, I guess he's kind of gone in there. He's like Ron Sealers, and he does what it says on the tin. Got him set up 4-4-2. Hard to beat, and playing for set pieces at the moment. But again, they're gonna, if they're nothing, they're gonna be well organised and potentially hard to break down.
That's always the issue with the Sean Dyche team, isn't it? Because I've said this multiple times in this podcast. The worst team I've seen that have played this season is Everton in that home game. I thought they were atrocious, and the fact they nearly got back into it after us being 2-0 up is a damning indictment on Steven Gerrard's reign at Aston Villa, if I do say. I just think they've got nothing up top. They've got nothing in midfield. They've got nothing in defence. Okay, they bought Tarkowski and Cody, and that gives them a bit of solidity. But maybe at the wrong end of their careers, potentially. But, fullbacks have been poor. I mean, Coleman got a goal weekend, but I think they've been poor in fullbacks. Top scorer is Damari Gray, and there's a reason why Damari Gray was available for £3 million when he was one of the most highly rated wingers, because he's wildly inconsistent. He'll bang one in from 45 yards, seemingly, and then he won't do nothing for 10 games. Calvert-Lewin, he's been injured. He's been non-existent. Gordon was their most potent threat. He's gone. And I was thinking, I can't wait to go to Everton away. It's going to be an easy win. And then they bloody bring Sean Dyche in. Sean Dyche, as much as I would always have had ambitions for Villa, whether it was either we had the delusions of grandeur maybe for Pochettino, and obviously we had Emery, but I would have probably taken Sean Dyche because I think Sean Dyche is he's a really, really good manager. What he did with that Burnley team was incredible. Getting to Europe is an unbelievable achievement. And Kompany's done a fantastic job and really kicked them on in the Championship. But Dyche I thought was brilliant. And same as you, Rich, I've seen him on various podcasts, and I just think he talks really well. He clearly knows how to get a team playing. He knows how to play to a team's strengths. You look at that Burnley team, Barnes and,
Chris Wood.
Yeah, Chris Wood, Ben Meehan. But, this is what I've always said about Villa sometimes over the years. If they can get 2 solid centre-halves who can head balls out and also head balls in the offensive areas, why can't Aston Villa do it? So, look, I think Dyche is a really good appointment, but I do also think there's only so much you can do with that team. And I know they've had a couple of results lately. I think Arsenal, it was just time for them to lose a game, no matter what they did, basically, and they were up for it under him. And obviously, it was a pretty tight game against Leeds, and it could have gone either way, I think. So I fully expect us to win. I know we'll do predictions at the end, but I just think our quality of our squad, and I've been thinking a little bit about, our recent run, and as much as there's loads of inconsistencies and problems and, Aldi Villa and all that, we've played Man City and Arsenal. and a resurgent at the time Leicester team. And I really fancy us to bounce back to winning ways on Saturday.
Well, positive talk. Rich, does the fact that I'll go to comments in a minute as well, but does the fact that Dyche has got one or two players that he's familiar with in the fact of Tarkowski, McNeil, I think there's one or two others in there that he's come into contact with. Does that fact that he knows some of the players there has helped him in terms of like getting his ways across to the players?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm looking at the team that they put out against Everton, and yes, he's got McNeil and Tarkowski, but he's also got proper leaders. Cody's a proper leader. Coleman's, been there
Pickford.
since and Pickford's just today signed a new contract at Everton, so you can see that Dyche is trying to very quickly build a spine that he can trust. I remember hearing about Cody at the it was at the Euros where he didn't play a minute, but he was I forget who it was, but one of the coaches said he was the most influential player in the squad because he just gave everything to the team. And he's a local lad. I don't know if he's a red or a blue, Cody, but obviously he's going to give a lot to Everton. Dyche will definitely be pleased that he's got those people. And McNeil, I remember us playing up at Turf Moor, and McNeil looked like a world beater. I forget, did he score at Villa Park as well? And I thought he was not a bad signing when Everton got him, but Sean Dyche is going to get the best out of him. So you look at that team, they've paid a bit of money for a few of the players. I mean, you can see from the formations that they've played. Kev, you talk about having centre halves that can, score headers. I think Dyche is going out not to lose games and hoping to nick a goal, and I expect that will probably be the way he plays against us. I know he spoke at the weekend about making Goodison a fortress, and to be fair to the Everton fans, they carried their team over the finish line last season. There was a real atmosphere that they stuck with the players, and that was, I think it was the game against Chelsea, but they won maybe 3 on the bounce. You wouldn't have expected them to win, and the fans played such a integral part in that. You just gotta hope we can get something early to shut them up.
Yeah. Just a couple of things, Kev, before we talk about the Villa, and as I go through a lot of the comments that have coming in. You talk about some of the players, but one player I'm really impressed with is Onana.
What's his name?
Hey, I was waiting for that. But yeah, I think he came on against us when we were, obviously that game we won 2-0 when Carlos got injured, but almost single-handedly earned them a point in that game. And by all accounts has been playing extremely well in the midfield since Dyche has come in. And tellingly for Villa, they do not do well against physicality in the midfield. And Decore and Onana in there is going to be a tough midfield to play against.
It is actually, and I'm now thinking I probably should have put Den Donker in my team. Nave made that point. But look, I don't want to be too complacent about this because I think in the Premier League anything can happen, and Villa have been a team that you certainly wouldn't ever put any money on if you had real ambitions of actually winning. You want any money back. But Onana's decent. I think they've got some decent solid centre halves. I don't really care much about the rest of the team. I think Pickford's clearly a good goalie, but nothing about the rest of that team worries me. I think Decore is maybe even a bit past it in terms of his peak time.
Watch him bang one in for 25 yards.
He's going to get a hat trick in this game. But and listen, I don't believe in fate, so forget all that.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Up front, I don't think they've got much to offer. I don't worry about him in fullbacks. My view is McNeil. Yeah, he's for McNeil. See El Ghazi, see Bailey, see a few wingers, but I think he's been a massive disappointment. And maybe the familiar arm of Sean Dyche round his shoulders might get more out of him. But if Aston Villa cannot, with the ambitions that we've got, it's not even necessarily get over the line. I think we should be going there and trying to put in a performance. It'll be very hard. The fans who are up for it, they've won 2 other bouts at home under Dyche. But we've got to do what we don't often do, which is try and take the game to a team with quality. And that's what I think. I think if you try and fight fire with fire and make it a bit of a turgid game, I think we'll lose that. because I think they're a bit
Yeah,
dirty.
we've got to show our quality, play the football, that we've been playing in parts against these top sides that have been getting us goals. If we can do that for a good, I don't know, even a 45-minute spell, you could be 2 or 3-0 up in that spell and kind of
100%.
game done.
100%. Yeah.
Roger said, number 1 podcast bar none. Wow, thank you very much,
Bless you,
my
Roger.
friend. That's
Appreciate
great.
That.
And Gary said, this is usually our banker against Everton, so no messing about, please, Villa. Yeah. Sigurd John Bjorgvinsson. Look at that. I hope I've not butchered your name there, mate. But Coutinho to lock this one up in the first half. Up the Villa from Iceland. Thank you for tuning in, mate. That is brilliant. Belgian villain said, Unai Emery's inconsistent arm must show up against Everton. I swear if that Ellis Sims scores with the most embarrassing club besides Newcastle. Hey. Hi, CH. Yes, lads. Yes, Rich. Thanks for joining. John said, I think Leeds are kicking themselves. They didn't pull the trigger earlier and get Dyche in. Probably. Nick says, really hope he doesn't play Dina this week. They won't need any encouraging, and he's got the minerals the size of Tic Tacs. Yeah, well, we'll see what the lads have put out. I've got George's, I've got yours, Kev's, I've got Martin's, I think, and I've got Sam's. So we've got loads of teams, predicted teams to go through. Richard said, thank God Calvert ain't playing. Different team when he's not in it. Yep, definitely. I have heard, though, he might be coming back from injury. I don't know if he's going to be back for for Saturday, though. Dyche will keep them up, but we need to play the right way and not get bossed off the ball, similar to what you were saying, Kev. Martin says, sorry I'm not on as I'm preparing for my League Cup final with Park Villa, hopefully a first league trophy in his managerial career. Fingers crossed for you, mate. Who's the new guy in the bottom? Enjoy, guys, up the Villa. Yeah, he just we're doing a fans forum. He just decided to.
I want a ticket.
Are we worried about this one? I'm not particularly worried, mate. I think it just echo the points that the two lads have just made in terms of if we get off to a good start and if we can play the quality of football that we've played in patches for a consistent time period, I think we'll be fine. And then we'll come to those in a minute. I wanted to talk. I'd start a comment from David. Rich, I'll come to you first. Emery has promised a huge reaction, so he expects a big win. If we're not, we have big problems. So, yeah, just in terms of Emery's comments in his press conference today, didn't look like he'd had much sleep, to be fair. But, obviously from the last game, he had quite a lot to say about being irritated about the performance and about the players not adhering to his plans. Are you expecting a big performance? You think Emery's expecting a big reaction as well?
I think he saw your tweet, the one that compared his run to Gerrard's.
I hope so.
I think we have to bounce back strong against Everton. The Arsenal game was an interesting one, and I came out of it quite content with the performance. Obviously, not the scoreline. But you look at, I actually remember, and if you watch the highlights, you'll see this. When Martinez goes up for the corner, Kamara looks at him and goes like that, as if to say, like, what are you doing? And I think he shakes his head. Now, 3-2, there's been a lot of talk about that third goal and should it be an offside? And if that happens at Old Trafford, it's probably offside. And look, if the third goal doesn't go in, they don't get the fourth. Martinez isn't up for the corner. And I remember saying to you, Kev, Arsenal were playing to win and we were playing not to lose.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real issue with the Villa. The belief isn't there. So do I think there'll be a big reaction? Yeah. But if they can weather our storm for the first 15 minutes and maybe they nick a goal in the first half, I just worry about our backbone. I just worry that there's, not even last season, we won 10 games ago. We're talking about how great Martinez is and he's a leader on the pitch. And now there's a lot of, in our WhatsApp group, certainly, and probably other Villa fans, happy to sell him, think he's a liability, thinks he wastes too much time. It's the Martinez show too much. So I worry sometimes about the strength of character that we have in our team. And I think that whilst Emery's absolutely right, he needs a big reaction. There's a run of games that we should win. We should be beating Everton in the form they're in. And we should see ourselves be pushed up the table with these results. I just worry sometimes if the script doesn't go the way we want it to, that there's always a banana skin or two for Aston Villa, and they'll find it.
There can be a soft centre, can't there? And
yeah,
this is the thing, Kev. Like with Villa, these next few games, they're not going to come comfortably. They're not going to come easy. Like they are games, like Rich said, that we should potentially be winning, or at least going with the thought process that we should be winning. But they're not going to be easy. Like we could go 1-0 down against Everton, and then it's a test of character to come through. We could beat Everton quite comfortably, and then struggle in the next game against Palace. So this is a big test for the Villa team, isn't it? And this first game in particular is to get us onto that road of just finding that form again.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I believe you could say what I'm about to say next at any point during the season, which is I think this is almost the crunch time of the season for us now, but particularly for this club. We've had the impact that we had under Gerrard, talked about on the tweet, the last podcast, happened under Emery as well. We all feel, I think, collectively in terms of a group, but also I think collectively as a fan base that Emery is a way better appointment, higher pedigree, better skill set. So we think we're going in the right direction under Emery. And we did some things we didn't do, didn't we? We had away wins. We won in the third kit. Crazy as it sounds, wearing a different kit.
Man United.
In a way, beat Man United. Then we've had this tricky spell. Now, any manager can have a tricky spell. See Graham Potter, see Jurgen Klopp. Two managers that have done better than us in recent years. But this spell of games now, Everton, clearly, obviously, up at the weekend. Then Palace at home. West Ham, who are in absolute doldrums, may well have a new manager by then. And then Bournemouth. West Ham away, Bournemouth at home. And then Chelsea, who knows where they'll be when we play them next. That run of games for me is critical for this team, whether they, and I feel like I've got deja vu of saying this last year with Gerrard. If these players want to be around for the Gerrard revolution, I said last year, they want to be around for the Emery revolution, we are going to go big in the summer. I said that last year and we didn't, right? But if you're Matty Cash, what have you got? Do you want to be Villa's right back next season? Do you want to be even part of this squad that's going on a European route? Coutinho, have you still got it? Have you got it consistently to show us what you've got? Buendia, are you a record signer or are you not? Bailey, we're all saying you haven't got it, mate. Show us what you're all about, etc., etc., etc. I would say at the moment, I think Mings is absolutely fine. I think Kamara's fine. I think Luiz is fine unless we sell him. I think Watkins is fine. The rest of them, see what happens. Martinez is obviously class, but I think he could well have higher ambitions for us. But everything else is up for grabs for me. Everything else, even a Moreno, even a Duran, are they going to be starters in that team? So in terms of Villa, opportunity-wise, this is absolutely critical whether we actually seriously can knock on that top 10. There's no reason why we can't, other than our own inconsistency, whether we have a season of finishing 13th, 14th. And I fully expect under Emery, the way he's reacted to that last game, the way he's been talking in the press, I fully expect us to put in a performance. I fully expect us to.
Positive talk, Kev. Now, one player who has been in very good form lately, Rich, is, and as Duncan saying here, he thinks Watkins is going to get 2. Richard said the form of Watkins is on fire. Is our man, Ollie Watkins, and 4 goals in 4 games. Can't ask for much more from him, can we really?
No, and I've never disliked Watkins. I think the show's always been a fan of his, but there was a lot of effort put in areas of the pitch where he didn't need to be. He's more decisive. When he gets the ball now, he's looking to shoot. The goal he scored at the weekend, it was probably a bad first touch. I thought that anyway. Little step over, gets half a yard, and it's a tight angle. But you watch a showreel of Ollie Watkins' goals when he's shooting. A lot of them are tight angles into that far corner. He's great, and you'll see my team shortly. But I think he needs a little bit of support up top. I think he needs someone that can play it a bit closer to him, because a lot of the time you've got a Coutinho who I thought was really good against Arsenal and is starting to see a bit of form. Buendia runs his socks off, but they're so far away from him that he's always got a couple of centre halves that are looking after him. So for him to get the goals that he's got in the formation that we play, I think he's been brilliant. And whatever work Emery has done with him has clearly paid off. And yeah, you know, Kev, you talk about some players that are safe. I think Watkins is probably showing Emery in this form that we don't need another centre forward, that he can do a job for us. You don't agree with that, do you?
No, I don't.
I think you always need competition myself. Yeah. I think obviously, however well Duran does, that's fine. But I definitely think we need another. Like Duran can hopefully be that strength, but he's going to take a year or two. But yeah, I definitely think we need someone potentially breathing. Yeah. But having said that, you know, so I think I saw a tweet saying that Watkins, is it a coincidence that Watkins has started to find real goal scoring form as soon as Ings is out the building? And now he's kind of cemented as that number one. But you can't go through a season with the rest. Well, we're obviously going through the rest of this season, but you can't go through next season just with Watkins and an unproven 19, 20-year-old.
Yeah, no, I
gets injured.
I agree with that, but I don't think we'll go out and spend 50 million quid on a striker to replace Watkins.
Yeah, there's talk of Tammy again.
I saw that.
It's not going away. Yeah.
Well, it might be a crazy suggestion, but you could always buy another striker and play both of them up front at the same time.
Yeah.
Hey,
I know it isn't. That's not a dig at you guys, by the way. I know it's.
I know.
It's the Premier League, isn't it? No one does it. But actually,
no one does it.
Rich, I totally agree with your point, mate. Sorry, Rich B. It's too many Riches on a podcast now.
I'll leave another 18 months. It's all right.
Yeah. I totally agree. Watkins, sometimes, if you think about it, often he's very isolated. So he's got like 3 or 4 players around him, and he's trying to do everything and he's not. Might be they've got all the skills in the book, and he's not, absolutely like Adama Traore rapid. So if you've got players around him supporting him, building play together, then I think you'd probably see a bit more. But of course, you've got to sacrifice something from further down the pitch to do that. So look, he's been great. I think the responsibility he's taken since Ings has gone, maybe it's been lucky, but I don't think there's been a surprise for me that his form's really, really gone up. And this is also from not many chances. I saw a stat the other day. His XG of those 4 goals is so low of what he actually got when he got those 4 goals. That's a really good sign. Imagine if we created more chances for him. He had 1 chance at the weekend and he scored it. So that's the key thing for me in terms of this team. And that's why some of the support players are the ones that I think are probably at risk. And obviously, you've seen changes lately, haven't you, with the team?
Yeah. Now, talking again of coming out of the woodwork to get involved in the pod again, it's another stranger. Hello, mate.
Yeah.
I would argue that I'm less of a stranger, but not by much. If I'm being honest, Rich and I actually both agreed to come on just so you could publicly admit to me and him in the same room that you were wrong about Gerrard, actually. So
I already did that.
No, Sam, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you before talking about it. So yeah.
Although Sam, are you going to admit you're wrong about Bailey yet? Or...
Oh God, yeah, I'm so wrong. I was so wrong. Do you know? I feel like Bailey's got like everything that he needs, but the game against Arsenal just showed it. He's just got terrible decision making.
Yeah, terrible.
I think we were joking earlier in the chat about his dribbles completed being quite high, and that's partly because after he beats a man, he goes back and tries to beat him again. And it's really true. He doesn't lack ability, as his dad lets everyone know. But he's, I think his footballing IQ is a little bit shot. But yeah, you were right. I have to concede to your superior knowledge on Bailey. Being honest.
Hopefully, I'm apologising for being actually wrong on that at some point down the line. But we'll see.
We'll see. No, but I think actually on Bailey, Emery's points today in the press conference are quite telling. I think he was asked specifically about him, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something like, "At the moment, he's working really hard, and we're trying to find the best position for him or the best place in the team for him." And then someone else commented underneath, "It's on the bench." But yeah, I think that tells you everything you need to know. That he hasn't. We just don't know what to do with him at the moment, other than, like I say, maybe have it coming on and having a little bit of an impact, because he's just so inconsistent that you can't rely on him, can you?
I just think that's management speak, to be honest. I mean, think about any other job. You know.
Oh yeah. It basically means he's probably going to be moving on in the summer.
You know,
That's basically what it means.
You got a branch of Greg's in Dunfermline, and we don't know what to do with Tracy at the moment. We can't seem to find a place for her in the business. What you mean is Tracy's been shit. She's been crap doing the pasties. She's been crap on the tills. She can't sort out the books. Like he's clearly trying to keep him somewhat motivated because he might need to keep him. But I mean, we don't know where to put him in the team. He's a wide player. He's a wide player that should be creating goals and scoring goals. And I mean, the thing that sums it up for me is, and I'm so annoyed actually that I've seen this now because I was raging about it for a bit, was when the video of the Arsenal 4th goal when Martinez came up for the corner and Bailey just basically almost crawling back up the pitch, let alone like trotting. It was horrendous. He just let everyone run past him. And I just think there's a sense of, I don't know, you see him try and he clearly cares. And there's other times, and I think maybe it's an intelligence thing, but I think there's a bit of a desire lacking sometimes. You know, I just think that, you know, you've got to want to die for that shirt. I mean, to be successful in this league. So wildly inconsistent, but he sums up a lot of our team, doesn't he? Particularly from an attacking perspective.
I think for Bailey, I think if he was like a fan favorite and everyone was just, you know, doing what Bailey is used to and just, you know, giving him all the praise and making him star boy, I think he'd actually perform better. I think the fact that he's being questioned and he knows it and his dad's giving it lemon and all of that, I think it's actually making him a worse player. He's in his head too much and he's sort of thinking about, you know, what are the fans going to do or say to me if I, you know, don't turn back, if I don't do this and that. And he's got ability, Bailey. Like he's shown it in some games. And I think if you bring him off the bench, he'll have a couple of games where he's absolutely superb. And Bailey has put in man of the match performances this season. It's not that he doesn't have it. And I think there's a certain point where you say, look, a player is just a bad player. Like he's reached his limit of what he's capable of. And I just don't feel like that's what we've got with Bailey. I don't think this is just how good he is at football. And, you know, it's like getting blood from a stone. I reckon he needs coaching. He needs like a real coach to improve his game. I read an article the other day about Marcus Rashford working with Benny McCarthy. I don't know if you boys remember Benny McCarthy.
Yeah.
He's a new offensive coach at Man United under Ten Hag, and he's just changed Rashford's game with coaching. He's just taught, and Benny McCarthy, like we all remember him, but like anyone under a certain age will have no idea who he is. But he was a clinical finisher, and he seems to be a better coach because he's just taught Rashford how to stay calm in front of goal. And I think that's what Bailey needs. Like he's still relatively young. I think he needs coaching, boys.
He does. He definitely do. I mean, you can see the ability. Like he's basically summed up in every game. He's summed up within like a minute segment of a game. Like there's a time where he'll trip over his own feet where he's trying to beat a man or he's trying to control it and then tackle it. And then then in the next breath, he's bringing down a ball that is behind him on a Cruyff turn and then putting it into his path, turning an Arsenal defender inside out and smashing a shot that gets saved and hits the bar, which he would have literally been the match winner for us on that occasion. And that just sums him up.
I think that I don't know if he meant to do that. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, isn't it? It's still a fantastic first touch.
No, it's unbelievable. I mean, the fact is that we're all so surprised, aren't we, that he did it, and it was brilliant. I
wasn't. I think that's a bit harsh. I think he's got that in his locker. When he took that down, you just thought, "Oh, that's the Bailey that we want." Not that. Oh my God, I never saw Bailey doing that. Like you can't argue that he. Like, are you saying that he doesn't have footballing talent, like his control of the ball, his speed, his ability to beat a man?
I'll tell you what it is for Bailey, right? He scored some great goals. He beat players at times, not the fastest I thought he would be. The thing for me, which I don't even think coaching can necessarily fix when you're nearly 26, is I think he's got a terrible touch, generally. I think his first touch is generally not great. I just think that, you know, from a perspective of a professional footballer, he gives up possession straight away too easily, or he'll let it, you know, his awareness, he'll let it run past him. He's terrible at protecting the ball, and I just don't think his touch is particularly very good. So I just don't know how much can you do with that from a coaching perspective, because you know when the ball's coming to your feet.
Yeah. I also think we were spoilt with Grealish, because Grealish's first touch was like like a knife through butter. It was just like, yeah, you could just he bought himself an extra second purely on the basis of his first touch was straight in his path every single time. Whereas, and I've said this loads of times, haven't I, Rich? Whereas the majority of footballers, even Premier League footballers, their first touch is to control the ball and then they take it. Whereas Grealish, his first touch is just taking the ball wherever he wants to go.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
difference between like that level of footballer and that level of
But
footballer.
you're talking about £100 million player and a 30 million.
Of course, mate. Yeah.
You're
Absolutely.
right. I think what Kev said is actually a really good point. I feel like the first touch for most of our team is actually abysmal. John McGinn's got a terrible first touch. Ollie Watkins can have an absolute stinker of a first touch.
Yeah.
Even Buendia, his first touch lets him down on occasion. So I'm hoping that coaching can fix that. Otherwise, we need to.
We're in real trouble. Yeah, we're in real trouble.
Can I just make one quick point? I really wish we'd bought Wilfred Gnonto for £4 million.
Yeah, he looks a player.
He's very good.
Yeah,
and I think he's got a good touch anyway.
He has. I've got to go through comments, lads. Sorry, I've got to go through. So, what's this? Same as us with Emery. There's only so much he can do with our team as well. Yeah, we've covered that lots, Gary. Great point. Emery is better than Poch. Duncan, look at Emery's credentials as opposed to Poch, and Duncan agrees with him. Dyche is rebuilding that dressing room. In our dressing room, something isn't working, and we make one or two many mistakes, and it has cost us a lot recently. Belgian villain fully expects that to continue. Well, I think it will throughout the season. I don't know whether it will on Saturday, but we'll hope not. Think Everton will go for wins at home and get what they can away. This is around Onana. He's there. Kamara for me. And Nick said, good shout regarding their midfield. I'd be surprised if he didn't strengthen there. Belgian villain loves Onana. Be lucky if the sticky toffees go down. We need to sign him. They lack pace at centre half. I think you've said that, Kev. Everton lack pace at centre half. David said this should be a comfortable win, but it's certain that Villa will make really hard work of it. We'll come into starting lineups, but Richard said Coutinho starts again, 100%. They'll play percentages, says Nick. When was the last time we won comfortably when we actually should? Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry, but then the Dendoncker hate is a bit harsh for me. I don't think we hate Dendoncker. Nick James said they'll do percentage football yet. Balls into the corners to turn us. I won't pronounce your name, mate. I'm sorry. I wasn't even close the last time. I'm so sorry. You'll have to come on and help us.
I think I could give that. Was it Sigurd Jon Bjorgvinsson?
That's what I said, but I
Is
think
it
I
wrong?
did anyway.
Yeah,
Alan Evans, what has Poch won yet? Duncan says Villa should their pace and flair in this one in those categories. Villa are top 6.
I don't think we have any pace.
Richard said the first half performance against Arsenal will be enough to get past Everton. Emery won't put up with another display like last week. Yeah, I agree. We're still 11th, said Gary, but think that's where we will stay, and that's fine with this inconsistent lot. There's a question for you, Rich. I'll come to you. Do we give Bertie a go as he was on the bench last week and maybe deserves a go?
I don't mind Traore. I think that Emery's brought him back for a reason. We were probably in the market for a winger. Sam, you touched on a point about Villa's lack of pace. I think Traore is an example of that. Like he's a winger with no pace. Bailey is a winger with no pace. So the centre halves of Everton being slow, I don't think Dyche is going to lose much sleep facing Aston Villa because of that. But Traore is tricky. He has got a good first touch. He will. I still remember his goal against West Brom when no one thought he was going to shoot, and he just slided into the bottom corner. I think he's a very intelligent player that uses the ball well. And he was on the bench against Arsenal. I don't think he'll start against Everton, but I think he'll see some minutes. Emery could have easily just let him play out the rest of his loan. He was over in Turkey, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's a player that you'll look at and on the bench and go, you know what? Yeah, he could probably make a difference. And the more we've got of those on the bench, the better, really.
Definitely agreed. I think we need players off the bench who can do things and it can potentially change the game for us. So the more we've got of that, the better. I think. I was just taking my attention with Adamski saying that he's got your that training top, Rich. It's a good top. So
it is a good top.
Props to you. And I think you're getting some love in the chat, mate. I think Rich Edwards agreed with you 100% about mentality. So you know,
Would be at 2,000 if I'd just come back.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I'll get teams up now. We'll go for starting lineup. We're getting lots of shouts for Coutinho to start. We're getting shouts for Duran to start. So yeah, lots and lots of different ideas in terms of starting lineup. So I've got. Let me just get yours as well, Sam. Just give me a sec. While I'm doing that, guys, please do leave a like on the video and please do subscribe if you're new. As I say, we've passed the 1,000 mark, which is phenomenal. And thanks to your support that we've done that. But yeah, we want to try and get right up to 2,000 as quick as we can, keep growing and growing and growing. So please do hit the like button, hit that subscribe button to help us grow. We do have a super chat function as well now open. So if you guys do want to help contribute to the channel with super chats, then please do. Any donation is phenomenal and it helps us, go into producing shows like Talking Tactics and other shows that we want to bring good content to you guys. So yeah, thank you for all your support and please help us to continue to grow. Who do we go for first? Sam, we'll go for your starting lineup first. Talk us through it, mate.
Well, good thing mine's not on because apparently he said that
apparently he copied his. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Well, the back four kind of speaks for itself. Apart from Moreno and obviously Cash, you could either have Dino or Young there. I think Moreno's shown he's got good attacking qualities. So I feel if it was my choice, what I do is when Moreno and Cash go forward like modern wing backs do, I would have Kamara drop back and have Mings, Kamara, and Konsa as a back three just to sort of protect that for any counter attacks. And then you have, because what we really lack in this team is width. You can see I've got two cams in this team with Coutinho and Buendia, and we really need width. I would argue Matty Cash isn't the best sort of like right wing back. I think he's more of a traditional right back, even though defending is probably not his strongest attribute. So I've been impressed with Moreno. He had his issues, and we've played some tricky opponents. Kamara is a given. I think Luiz this season, I've been his biggest critic since he's joined Villa, but I don't think you can really argue with him this season. I think he's been one of our better players. Ramsey, I always love what he brings. He's the only player in this team that actually drives with the ball. And then Coutinho, a lot of people would argue he deserves his place. So I kept him in there. And I think Buendia's got to do a bit more for me, if I'm being honest, because last week when Duran came on, I know it was a very small cameo and it's not enough to warrant a starting place, but he really looked up for it. And I think Buendia, as of late, has not looked up for it. And I think that for me is troubling. Like when your motivation goes, when your head goes, and I'm sure, like Rich just said, when your mentality goes, that's a problem. And Watkins, he's a given right now, even though I still have my doubts about him. I'm sure we could do better. Maybe Cameron Archer showing what he could bring in the Middlesbrough team, but right now he's the only option we've got, so he stays.
Yeah. We get a few little ones here. Rich says McGinn for Ramsey. Gary says McGinn surely over Ramsey. So let's get your team up, Kev. Let's see if you're in agreement with Sam or not. A couple of changes there. Talk to us.
Have I put what changes to Sam's team or changes to the last game?
Changes to Sam's team.
Yeah. Well, the last game we played, he started with McGinn on the right and Coutinho on the left. And I know that's kind of quite interchangeable in terms of when they move around the pitch. But, for me, the toss-up was Cash or Young, but I thought Cash did okay. I actually thought he didn't get enough credit for his part in the first goal. I think he nicked in really well, with great energy.
Yeah.
It was a great ball over the top for Watkins. Bad first touch, but obviously he did a fantastic finish with his left. So that got us off to a good start. So I'd keep him in his place. Konsa, Mings, Moreno, Martinez, I think he's a no-brainer now. Kamara Luiz the same. Watkins, obviously. I think Coutinho starts because I think he did well in the last couple of games he's played. And I just think because they're quite a physical team, I think it needs Duran. I think you need Duran's size in that team. And I think Bailey or even a Traore would probably be better served coming on for 15, 20 minutes if you are trying to chase the game or to stretch the game a bit. So I think it's Duran for Buendia for me. Buendia, listen, I still have a worry that whether he'll ever be good enough for top 10 Premier League consistency based purely on his size. And you've got to be ahead of a footballer. See David Silva, for example. to be that small and be that effective. And I just think sometimes he still gets bullied off the balls a little bit. So Duran in for me, because I think he's shown more than enough now in about 50 minutes of football, admittedly over 3 appearances. And I think Coutinho, and I think McGinn's actually been it was in better form under Emery when he got back into the team before his injury, and I think he's looked like he's up for the fight as well. And I think you need that level of McGinn experience. There's probably an argument for Young as well, when you're up against a Coleman and a Tarkovsky, etc.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that team. I think Bailey off the bench, obviously. I think Duran against a big Everton defence.
Bailey's not coming off the bench in Kev's team.
No, that's true.
And he's not on the bench.
He's not on the bench. Kev's put himself on the bench before Bailey.
Ramsey a potential option off the bench. Traore an option off the bench. But yeah, I think we'll probably need that physicality. And I'll worry about us on set pieces. And I think that more height you can have in the team against a team like Everton, I think the better.
But like when you talk about McGinn, like just because that seems to be like a contentious point, McGinn or Ramsey. When we talk about his output this season in terms of assists and goals, and it's non-existent. And I feel like you ask the question, what does McGinn? You talk about experience, and I mean, yeah, okay, he's got experience in playing in a team that doesn't win very much. But what does it like genuinely? All jokes aside, like what does he provide? Does he drive with the ball anymore? He doesn't do the arse thing anymore. He turns. He's not particularly quick. He's not a great passer of the ball. I feel like McGinn right now, until he improves his form, I just don't see what he adds to the team.
You know what I think he did? I don't disagree with any of those points. And when my team comes up, you'll see I haven't put McGinn in.
I think you need to send it to me, Rich, to be fair, mate.
I'll pop it over to you. I can talk through it. I think what McGinn has got is he is a fan's favourite. He does wear his heart on his sleeve, and when he makes a challenge, he makes a challenge. And I think that the Villa fans see that, and I think for all football fans that are generally the same, they will forgive a lack of skill if someone's putting the effort in. So I imagine Kev would even say some nice things about Bailey if he was to sprint the length of the pitch to put a challenge in to win the ball back. If he'd lost it, probably not. But you're right. If you look at McGinn's stats, when he pulls on a Scotland shirt, he's unreal. We don't get the same McGinn in a Villa shirt.
He plays so much higher, and I think I completely agree with you. He is a fan's favourite, and people, as soon as we start the game, he's it's the whole we've got McGinn, but 3 or 4 misplaced passes, people start to get fed up. And I mean, even if he doesn't do that, and he keeps that kind of motivation, if I'm being honest, that doesn't win games. Well, if you look at Jacob Ramsey when he drives and when he makes those assists and those goals, I think that will win more games than a feel-good factor. And I think you talk about leadership. When Tyrone Mings was out for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, I think we saw lack of leadership there, even though McGinn was in the team. I think
Sam, you know what it is for me, mate? You know what it is for me? Yeah. I totally agree, by the way, with all the points you made before when you talked about McGinn. It's when I picked that team, for example, I was thinking Ramsey's just bang out of form. And he's been really bang out of form for a bit of time now and has done not anywhere near the heights of last season. I've got a situation, obviously, with Buendia, we've talked about in terms of the output. So it really was for a bit of... You're absolutely right. I don't think he was a great captain McGinn at times, but I think he's got a little bit of nous and experience. And I think right now, I think he's probably the best form of those ones, but arguably. So I'd love Ramsey driving forward with the potential he's got. I totally agree. I think he's likely to do. Look what he did Norwich away. That goal he scored, it was unbelievable.
Crazy. Yeah.
But I just think right now, I think Ramsey probably... I just don't think he's been non-existent in some of the games. He got hooked at half-time the other day, didn't he?
I agree. Yeah. I think with the only thing I would say is with McGinn, he's of a certain age now where you know what you're getting with him. I think Ramsey's still, he's young, he's got potential to get better. And if you coach him, stick with him, let him get that game time, let him get that experience, you might get a better player out of him. McGinn is what McGinn is, and he won't change, he won't improve now. It's like on FIFA when they hit a certain age and he won't improve his rating anymore. But Ramsey's still got so far to go. I'd give him a chance. And I feel like this Villa side, I don't want to get too far into it, but I feel like we've actually got an issue with having really talented youngsters that we don't really give a go. And like we see it in loads of other Premier League teams, they're giving their youngsters a chance. You look at Leeds and that winger that they've got who looks really good, and loads of other teams around the league are giving people a chance. And we've got players like Cameron Archer, who everywhere he goes, he scores for fun. He's not getting a chance. Kessler Hayden he looks really good, and we've got Ashley Young playing 4 positions instead of him. I just don't see where the chances are coming in for younger players. We stick with the devil we know as opposed to something else.
Can I just make one quick point as well? Sorry. On the midfield point, I actually mentioned earlier on that Dendoncker could have been in shape because of his size. And I think Belgian Villa said it doesn't see the Dendoncker hate, but it's a bit harsh. It probably is a little bit harsh. He's clearly got a lot of international caps and he's clearly a decent footballer. But I just think he's been not great for us. But more importantly than that, I work with a lot of Wolves fans, and not one Wolves fan I knew was disappointed to see him go. And I always think that says a lot. Because I know Wolves have been, a bit higher in recent years, but I think the fact that they weren't too bothered about letting him go because he's probably a little bit slower than you'd like. He's, as we probably saw from that FA Cup goal, he doesn't really do much in terms of the attacking areas. I don't think he's dominated as he could be. I think he does a job and he's solid. And I think, I wouldn't be massively surprised to see him start if you're trying to get more physicality. But I think the criticism for him just because I just don't think he's been great for Villa.
Yeah, agreed. Well, look, the midfield's been an age-old problem for Villa, and I think we're talking about 2 players, McGinn, Ramsey, and even 3 players with Dendoncker that just probably haven't done enough to cement themselves in a team. Like, this is why we keep talking about them. Buendia as well. Like, just so inconsistent, and just no real like spell of 5, 6, 7, 8 games where they've actually done anything. Like, and I keep saying this, I get frustrated about Villa fans who just love players who run about, and all Buendia needs to do is run around and put a tackle in, and everyone loves him. Like, he hasn't done anything. Like, so it's a similar thing to McGinn. Like, they haven't done anything. So at least with someone like Ramsey, if he does find his form, he does actually produce goals and produces assists, whereas the other ones, all they do is like run about and tackle. Now that's like the minimum that you should expect from a footballer. So we need a hell of a lot more from our midfielders. It's a joke, really. It is a joke. Like, loads of comments coming in. I'll come to your team in a sec, Rich. Belgian Villa says Martinez, Cash, Moreno, Dendoncker as centre back, Mings, Kamara, Louise, Coutinho, McGinn, Duran, and Watkins. Dina, Buendia, and Bailey can be the ball boys for Martinez goal kicks. Gary says Duran's probably not a starter, as think his fitness is lacking. David says Buendia is a championship player. Norwich saw Villa coming. Rich says tenacity from McGinn is definitely needed in midfield. Martin says Bailey's in Basingstoke, according to Kev. Adamski says some of these players are a mystery to me. Never know what we will get. Bailey's in Basingstoke. Kev, that's catching on, mate. That is catching on. Not saying either is the answer in the long run, but start McGinn at the minute. Rich says effort costs nothing. David says Ramsey's looked lost under Emery. He thinks he could be replaced in the summer. I think he's looked a bit lost, but I think, like Sam says, coaching, he's got time to improve, and I think he probably will. I don't think it's one that we should be losing in the summer, to be honest.
Villa fans would not like that either.
No. Bailey's actually done that defending a couple of times from Adamski. Richard Edwards said Ming's organisation is his best quality. Adamski says send Buendia to the gym with Adama Traore. Gary said, with a lot of exciting forward players on paper, but they look stifled and lost. I do think, though, with that particularly highlighted with the goal Coutinho scored the other day, and you've obviously, with regards to the Gerrard Gerrard and now Emery coming in and the lack of a plan. Again, Sam, this is for you. You can see the plan that Emery wants to play in terms of the pattern of play, and you can see those forwards maybe come into life almost if they continue to keep being coached and keep you playing in that system and that plan that Emery wants.
I'm sure you guys have already touched on this, if not in this, but in the last pod. But Emery's comments after the Arsenal game where he said we're not improving, that for me was so striking, and it was like the first time in a long time that I really feel like a Villa manager's come out and not just hit some hard truths, because they do it all the time, and because they know fans will respect them for saying it how it is. But I think that is such a like a deep assessment of what's going on, where he says we're not improving and I'm frustrated by it, and he's absolutely right. And I think that's a problem with Villa is we're not improving, and I think part of that is down to personnel, but I think part of it, like you say, Rich, a big part of it is down to coaching. Like management is fine where you do the tactics and you try and, you know the best way to play football. But if these players don't know how to play, that system, and if these players don't quite understand what it is that you're asking them to do, because a lot of them can do it. Like there's nothing that Jacob Ramsey as an athlete cannot do, and as a footballer, he's got bags of talent. But if he doesn't really know what you want from him, and you've got to remember, and no disrespect to any footballers out there, but, these guys aren't, they're not engineers. They're not like, IQ off the charts. They need to be instructed and they need to be taught constantly. That's why they have training sessions every day. That's why players who are 35 years old still go to training, because they need to be taught and they need to adapt. And I think you're absolutely right. A bit of coaching go a long way with this team. But I think ultimately, as a lot of the comments have said, this is going to be a personnel issue.
Yeah,
we're going to need to clear, and we have actually had a really good clear out.
But I actually think that's one of the issues though, with Emery. What he's finding is that, admittedly, they've not had a pre-season, they've not had 12 months, they've not had a real chance to get the plan in place. But I think he's been there long enough now to get a lot of his ideas through, and a lot of them have got through, and we've certainly seen a change in play. But I think his frustrations are now he doesn't think some of the players are good enough to do what he wants them to do, whether that's ability-wise, whether that's mentality-wise. And I think that's where these frustrations are now coming out, because, the reality is that, you can coach, but he must be making some of these points over and over again since, November, since he came on board. And, if you're getting push in March and we're still having some of the same problems, then admittedly, some of them will get better, absolutely. And I think Jacob Ramsey will be one I'd have absolute confidence that would improve. But I think some of them, maybe their time in a Villa shirt is up come the summer.
Yeah. Rich, we'll get your lineup on. How is that? Is that any different to Kev? And it's a little bit different to... Actually, it's a combination of the two.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a combination. No, I don't have McGinn.
Ramsey, that's it.
Yeah, and I think it's a slightly different formation as well. I think the form that Coutinho showed against Arsenal means he should start for me, and we can afford to carry one luxury player against that up against that Everton midfield. So I think Coutinho should be it. I can see Ramsey having the legs over McGinn. He can run with the ball better. We spoke about Everton's aging midfield, let's say earlier. I think having a Ramsey that can do something with the ball and keep the ball a bit better than McGinn will be more beneficial. The back five picks itself. I think Duran deserves a go. I think he deserves a start. We can always change it if it's not working, but they're going to have some experienced professionals in that defence on Saturday, and we need to give them something to worry about. We've already seen Tarkowski score against Arsenal. If you've only got one player up top, they're going to have a bit more freedom to roam around. So I think, listen, I like Duran a lot. I think he's got an edge. He's got an energy. You will have saw him on Saturday try and get the crowd going. That connection with fans for me is always so important when a player has got that. So I think Watkins could do with a bit of a hand. I feel like, that Lewis, Kamara, Ramsey, there's enough there. If you have got Moreno and Cash pushing up either side, I'd like Emery to go out and try and win the game. I'll be disappointed if the formation is one to not lose. And I think there were times against Arsenal when we showed we could play, but we just bottled it eventually. And okay, one argument is we bottled it against top of the league and they were a class team and we went toe-to-toe with them for 75 minutes. Another argument is they'd played a game 60 odd hours before us and we were playing a tired Arsenal team and we still couldn't beat them. But I think, to touch on some of the points that you're making there, I think Emery will bring in some new faces. I think we're not going to get relegated and we're not going to get European football. So he's almost got a free shot. So he should play some of the younger players and see what he's got. And Ashley Young, as much as I think he's a great professional to have around the club, he's not going to be a starter next season. So we should give players like Ramsey a bit more game time, players like Duran a few more minutes, because we're going to need him a fair bit next season. So the more we can blood these players in now without the fear of relegation, I think the better, really.
I think something really interesting about what Rich has just said is he's bang on. As a game plan, we can't expect all of our goals to come from Ollie Watkins. Like, I know he's in decent form. He scored 4 and 4, and that's great. But Ollie Watkins is not a consistent scorer, and even though he's been taking his chances really well, and his expected goals is low, and his return is high, Ollie Watkins has never done that consistently over a season, and he won't do it.
No.
So what he needs to do, well, yeah, exactly. He's a player who looks quality in spells. How he got in the England team. But we need to now build a system where we're getting goals from multiple sources, which is why it was nice to see Coutinho score the other day. And, we were, obviously Bundir didn't score the goal, but that little step over just to leave the ball for Coutinho and that awareness behind. We need that kind of stuff, and we need goals from everywhere. We need, the centre backs. I can't remember the last time. I think
it's a joke, mate. It's a joke.
I've not seen a centre back score from a header from a corner for Villa for God knows how long. We never score from set pieces. We don't score. We're just so dependent on a striker who's mediocre at best.
And Sam, two things on that. I mean, we all said like the back five picks themselves basically, but we've conceded 11 goals in 3 games. Maybe they shouldn't pick themselves. And if Ollie Watkins has scored 4 in 4, that still leaves us 7 short from getting the goals he would have needed to get draws. So I think,
Adamski said Courtney Hall's at Old Trafford, and that
and
tells you. But hang on, Kev is desperate to get in here because he's desperate to do a show on what does Austin McPhee actually do.
And I know one of the other podcasts is going to do it before me, and I'll be so annoyed. But
do a one man show. If McPhee was to do the little dance that Arteta was doing on Saturday, that would be enough for me. I don't know if you all saw that.
Yeah.
I love that. Adam's just said McPhee out. I don't think I've ever seen like a chart for like an assistant coach who deals one thing out. Like this poor guy is so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. He's still getting targeted. But I think
that's the reason. Yeah.
The wider point, right? A lot of people are saying, "Oh, wait till Diego Carlos comes back because he looked decent in his first few games." And the pressure that guy's got, he's not even played 4 or 5 games for Villa, and he's the saviour. And this is the thing with Villa: whoever's not playing is the best player to play, and that's that's where we're at. Our back 5 picks itself because it's the best we've got. It's almost all we've got, and I think it is. I like Concert. I like him a lot. I've always been a big fan of his. He's got inconsistencies in his game, and he won me 600 quid the other day with his ridiculous yellow card. We all celebrated against Man City. But apart from that, he needs someone beside him to tell him what's going on. It's hard for Mings to do that and have the authority that we know he's got when he makes so many mistakes. And I feel so bad for him because he's punished for every single one. I think George was saying it. He's never made a mistake that hasn't resulted in a goal, and it's just bad luck because he's not a bad player and he does really good things, but he's just he's not it. I think we need a lot of new personnel in. I really think we do.
Kev, what did you want to say on McPhee?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm desperate to do this show, but I'm thinking the more I've been making this point around, maybe it's the players have got they've got certain limits. And maybe when you see the level of McPhee's frustration after some of these goals we can see, maybe they're not doing what he's asking them to do. And maybe the new show is going to be is McPhee the fall guy? Should it be what we want the players out? Say we want the players out because he can't be that bad, can he? Surely, but where Konza and Mings weren't dominating the air, and maybe there was the odd goal here or there, but we felt like under Smith whatever, but. It's not like when a cross comes in from a corner, they even look like they're remotely going to get their head on it and score.
I think Nick said they're coward. They don't stick their head in, and I think he's got a point there. I think you look at like Tarkovsky and a Ben Mee or someone like that. They'll be prepared to like smash into the post.
A Duffy, a Dunk, a Dan Burn, or players like that. It's so look. We lack ideas, don't we?
The delivery's got to be good as well, though.
So. It's worth saying that Tyrone Mings is 6'5" as well, by the way. Don't like an absolute brick shit house. He's massive. He is taller than Buendia if he jumped at the highest point he could jump. And the thing is, he's built perfectly to go and attack a ball, and he doesn't. I never see him get his head on it. I never even see him close to it. he always seems to be sideways like that.
Yeah.
Never attacking the ball head on, and it is frustrating, but it's what it is.
Yeah. Boys, before I get your predictions and before we just round off with a couple of other little bits of news, we'll go through some stats. But while I'm just getting the screen up, guys, again, just a quick thank you for everyone for subscribing. Please do hit the like button, help us spread the word of the channel, help us grow the channel, and do please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Tail of the tape now, Everton, I've seen all the stats from Villa Stato. He's a friend of the show. When he's watching, he provides us with some statistics. But I don't think I think it's something like is it something like since we've come back up, we haven't lost to Everton or something like that, winning 5, drawing 2.
And thinking about that, mate, as well. That point is we talked about Traore and El Ghazi, but there was that. I remember that goal that El Ghazi scored. I think we beat him 2-1 away.
Yeah.
And it was Traore setting up, passing it across. I think McGinn was in the mix. El Ghazi,
right in the top corner.
Players
Best atmosphere at Villa Park for a long time that night.
The 2-0 one. That was unreal when Wesley scored as well. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, that's one of my best nights at Villa Park ever. Brilliant. I think Brilliant. that and the Atletico Madrid, Stan Collymore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
showing your age there, Rich.
Yeah, exactly. Head to head, so played 55 games in the Premier League, and 23 wins for Villa, 13 for Everton. We've won 8 games at Goodison. Rich, I'm sure you've talked a lot about that 3-2 win under O'Neill.
Brilliant!
When Ashley Young scored last minute, brilliant game.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen these stats before. I'm surprised we beat them as many times as we have. I thought it would have been closer, but yeah, that game was unreal. However many years ago that was, and yeah, listen, if Ashley Young can do that again on Saturday, I'd be a happy man.
Martin O'Neill, I think, will just run on the pitch again and just go genius.
Yeah.
He's world class.
But yeah, last games, obviously this season won 2-1, scraped to a 2-1 win. Won 1-0 at Goodison last season, Emery Buendia header. 3-0 at Villa Park, that was a Leon Bailey cameo, which he got injured when he smashed the ball into the net. And then a 0-0 draw and a 2-1 win. I think that's the one you're talking about, Kev, where El Ghazi smashed it in. So yeah, decent record over the last 5 games. Look at the current form. Obviously, we're off the back of 3 straight defeats. They've got 2 wins out of the last 3, including the win against Arsenal. So they are they're the team in a little bit more better recent form, but over 5 games with the same 6 points over the last 5 games. In terms of goals, you said, Rich, they don't score. Well, look at that, 0.74 goals scored per game. We're 1.2. Goals conceded, though, we're approaching that 2 goals per game, which is not great. And they're 1.3. They've actually kept more clean sheets than us, and they do actually create more chances than us. So, yeah, it's a game, like we say, we should be winning, but the stats tell us it's going to be a fairly tough game, particularly on current form.
Yeah, so and you think also the Rich point you made about, I'm surprised to see that we've had almost double the amount of wins when you consider they've probably knocked around the top 4 more than we have in the Premier League era. Mm-hmm. And we've also spent 3 years in the Championship, so it seems that, we've got seemingly a good record. And I also don't think Emery's ever lost to Dyche in the Premier League.
No, that's another one. Yeah, that's another one.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's nailed on, isn't it? And a player
Everton win, yeah.
A player that's never scored for Everton, it's going to be that young striker's going to get a goal, isn't he?
Yeah.
McNeil has set him up.
Yeah.
I want to you guys to think about your predictions. And guys, get your predictions in the comments. What do you think the score's going to be on Saturday? Just a couple of bits to round up news. Obviously, sad news about John Motson today, lads. Kev, I'll come to you first. I think Michael there said about sheepskin coat will be on display. R.I.P. John Motson. That's like an iconic image of Motson, and for us, in terms of like the commentating, he was just basically the voice of football, wasn't he?
It was. I was explaining to my lad today, when I was like talking about the commentators, and he went, "You mean like Derek Ray?" Because obviously he does FIFA, so that's all he knows, right? It's Derek Ray and Stuart Robson on FIFA. And I was trying to say, if you spoke to most people, even of a fairly youngish age, and said, "Name your football commentator," it would Motson would be synonymous with it. And, I was watching stuff about him early, from that Ronnie Bradford FA Cup goal in 1972, which, no jokes, I don't remember that one. But he said it made his career. He was kind of working for the BBC, and because that game became the main game on Match of the Day, because non-league obviously beat top flight. But everything he did over the years, he commented on Beckham's goals, World Cups, and did it all with that same sort of aura, natural, the crazy gang winning the FA Cup, etc., etc. So sorely missed, really. A real iconic figure in the game of football, and one that I think we've all got great fond memories of. So rest in peace, John. Yeah,
definitely. And only in like 77, it's not a big age anymore, is it? It's just real sad, really sad. A couple of other things as well, just to round up. Gary had asked a question, and I'll come to you, Sam. You've said about the pressure on Carlos, but do you think he'll make a difference when he comes back in March, or if he does come back in March?
I think he will, because I think he's a top quality player. I mean, I think there's only so much that he can do. If you put him on that left side where Mings is, or put him on the right side where Konsa is, you've got Moreno there now, who's they've both played in Spain. They'll understand each other's games. They'll know each other as players. And I think what he'll do is he'll bring back a bit of confidence, because everyone knows he's a good player, and people won't expect him to make mistakes, and they'll be comfortable giving him the ball. And he's massive as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen the size of his legs. They look like coffee tables. They're massive. And I think that's good. I think introducing quality into the team anywhere will make a difference. I think in terms of a practical, what are we going to stop conceding goals entirely? No, I don't think we will. But will he make us more defensively solid? You'd hope so for what we spent on him. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I'll look forward to him coming back, and if only just to put a bit of competition back into the team for the centre backs, and like you say, just a big presence and a real leader. And I know you can't. It would just be interesting to see what impact he would have had he not had that terrible injury for the rest of the season. So we get him back in. Hopefully, we get him back fully fit. Rich, another question from Adamski for you. Are we going to get the sporting director from Real Betis? I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's been his name escapes me, but was talking about Villa. Well, there's two clubs. One of them was meant to be Barcelona. That he's ruled himself out of that, and the rumours are it's Aston Villa. So is this going to be the end of Johan Lange and a new sporting director coming in?
Well, I think Tom Hanks had an interview on Saturday for that job, didn't
he? Very good.
I mean, he can play most roles, so I think he'd do a good job for us. It's interesting, isn't it? I think that the problem you have with roles like that is you don't know what impact they have on a club anyway, because the responsibilities change from club to club. I don't know anything about this guy from Real Betis.
Antonio Cordon is called. Studying two very attractive offers, one from Barcelona and one from Unai Emery and Aston Villa, apparently. But he ruled himself out of Barcelona.
Didn't he just sign for Newcastle from Everton? Antonio Cordon.
That's so bad. Oh God, we've just lost 100 subscribers. We're back to.
I'll have to get
Anthony Cordon. No, sorry.
That sounds like that's probably what he calls himself on Football Manager. When he wants to be from Italy or something, he calls himself Antonio Cordon.
You know what to expect from me, Sam. You know what to expect by now, mate. You know what to expect.
Do you know what? I kind of forgot. Like Rich said, I'm a passenger now. I've been so long since I've been on. I forgot these gems.
But Sam, you are a dad as well now, mate. So these are the kind of jokes that you should be coming out with.
Yeah, honestly, mate. Like I've been turning the camera off every couple of minutes to have my McDonald's, because this is the only time I've managed to have dinner. I'm having dinner at 10 o'clock. Because he won't stop crying. I've got an excuse, but I'm preaching to the choir here. You've all got kids, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, to be fair, he's doing all right with the Villa. He loves watching football, and he does cry every single time we play. To be fair,
that doesn't change, mate.
Yeah.
41 is still happening.
I've got him a few Villa kits, and. When we're playing Arsenal, I thought we'd sit down in our Villa kits and watch it. So I put one on him, And after about 30 seconds, he throws up on it. I was like, that's all right, we could change that. Put another one on him. He throws up on that immediately. And I was like, fine. I put a third one on him. And just as Jorginho scores, and I'm getting ready to, violently throw the table out the window, he throws up on the third one. And I don't know what to be more annoyed about, the fact that he's thrown up on 3 kits or that Jorginho's just scored. Double annoyance.
The joys, mate, the joys.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this sporting director. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be obvious that Emery's going to want to bring his own person in. Whether that means that Langer goes into a more technical role, like statistics, or whether he moves on. But I think it's pretty much a done deal. If he's turned Barcelona down and Emery wants him, I think it's pretty much a done deal. To be fair,
is that
so we'll see.
Do you reckon that should be a manager's remit though? Because the thing is, a sporting director will long outlive the manager. He's not part of the coaching staff. I mean, I think it's
good
really
point.
Structural change to bring in a sporting director, like it's at club level. And so they must have a lot of faith in Emery if they're bringing in sporting directors that he wants to work with.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it, with Villa? Like they keep changing their. I remember when we were like, I don't know if it was last year or about 18 months ago, Sam, where you were talking about the change in policy from the young players, even before these more experienced, like Luka Deans came in. You were like, this policy's changing already, and it was like, and we're probably doing it again. We're probably going to be getting Spanish players in, young Spanish players and all this, and
you can see in the comments
what's going to happen. Yeah.
Rich Edwards says, that it was data-driven targets, young, hungry. So they had a sell-on value. But it was almost like push that in the bin, and then we just buy experienced Premier League players.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what it is as well is because it's clearly not working. So they're answerable to our owners who have spent a lot of money, and they've got to justify the money that they've spent and the way that the team is going. And I think since we got back to the Premier League, I think sort of languishing in the second, in the bottom half of the table, I don't feel like we've really progressed massively. I don't think the style of football's gotten better. I don't, for a few years now, we've kind of been lingering in the same place, but we've tried a lot of different things. We've tried the Austin McPhees, we've tried the young kids, we've tried, loads of different things, spending a lot of money on players like Buendia. And I think something's got to give. And these owners are the type of owners that will say, look, if it's not working, we're going to try again and again and again with something new, which is good for us because at least they're not giving up.
Yeah. Gary's asking now, are any of our kids Villa fans? I think all of our kids are Villa fans, aren't they?
No choice.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, mine's only 4 months, but he doesn't get a say in it.
My son's a full-on Geordie Villa fan. So he's been on a football course this week and wearing his Villa kit proudly around all Newcastle kits, which is pretty tough at the moment considering they're going to Wembley on Sunday. Although on his course there was another kid who came out with the orange Villa goalkeeping kit on. So I was like, there's another Villa fan there, Aidan. He was like, well, I think he likes Newcastle and Villa, or he likes Martinez. So
he likes Martinez, yeah.
It was a goalkeeping camp, right?
Goalkeeping camp. Predominantly a goalkeeping camp, yeah.
I imagine some of the Newcastle staff would have been there looking for a keeper for the weekend.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I think
you set that one up.
Yeah.
Well, it's either an 8-9-year-old or Laurie's carriers. So
Yeah.
Well, Rich, just let Aidan know that when I was like 12, I moved to London, North London, when Arsenal had the Invincibles, and I was a Villa fan, and I was getting absolute dogs abuse. So it's all right. They're only fourth or fifth in the league at the moment. He can put up. If I can put up with being around Invincibles fans.
Exactly. No, they're on a bit of a dodgy run at the moment, but I do hope they win. Gary said there.
I do not hope they win. Absolutely not. It'll be the start of them winning trophies, and then that will mean they'll get even more players attracted to them. And
I don't think we're competing with Newcastle for players.
Yeah, no, they're competing. They're right up there now, mate.
I just keep Kev's mind. We are.
Yeah.
I just want to think those teams that are not quite top 4 yet. We are hopefully the point we make about this
Mate,
season.
we're competing with Crystal
Yeah,
Palace.
yeah.
And like we're
You
not
know what?
even.
I think didn't Benteke choose Palace over coming back to us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think,
Exactly.
lads, positivity, right? Next season, we're not going to be in
Oh,
Europe
so
Oh, you
sick.
sound like Del Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
this time next year. We're not going to be in Europe next season. If we go hard in the summer and get some good players in, we're not going to have 30 nights in the arse end of Europe. So
Can I
If my auntie had, well, you know,
Yeah.
can I give a little bit of knowledge to everyone on this pod and everyone there? This season I've had a bit of a turnaround where last season I was absolutely gasping after every game. I was so annoyed.
I wonder why.
But this season I have stopped expecting. I never expect to win a game. I don't expect Villa to get into the top half. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm a lot happier in life.
That's good.
I really am.
I think that it comes with being a dad as well, though, Sam, to be fair.
I just don't care about anything anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You're just picking up sick, mate. Kev, before we we'll promise we'll get the score predictions, but before we do that, you're the correspondent for Villa ladies team, and you had a little bit of news that you popped me in the chat before. Obviously, it's been an international break, but still Villa women getting the plaudits.
Carla Ward got nominated for Manager of the Month, lost out to Man City manager. And there was a late call-up to the England ladies squad for Jordan Nobbs, and she's also won the Player of the Month award. She got a hat-trick, obviously, in the game against Brighton. And, you know, after a long association with Arsenal to come to Villa, really hit the ground running. Obviously, great form. I think Villa are really knocking on the top 3-4 positions in the league now. And absolute credit to her. It's been an unbelievable season for the Villa ladies team. Rachel Daly got 2 goals, didn't she? You know, she's been from left back to all of a sudden striker. A lot of competition, obviously, for those places with the likes of obviously Russo, Beth England. But it's just great to see, you know, a Villa team. Admittedly, we'd rather it be the men's team as well. But, you know, the ladies team have done absolutely brilliant stuff. So another award, you know, I think obviously Daly's won awards, Carla Ward's won awards. So just great for the club, and great work, Jordan. Well done.
Top. Right, let's get into predictions. So I'll come to you first, Sam, but because Adamski's borrowed a leaf out of your book, just going thinking we're going to lose and expectations are safe. So, what's your prediction for Saturday?
Despite what I've just said, there are some games I still hold a bit of expectation. No. To be fair, I feel like we have enough to win. This weekend, I reckon. Like Rich said earlier, we've played some tough teams, and it's been a bit of a difficult run, but hopefully we'll get back to it. I reckon a 3-1 win. I'd like to see Ollie Watkins get a goal. I'd like to see Coutinho with another, and I think Duran's going to get on the score sheet. I reckon he's going to get his first and open his account for the Villa.
Nice, excellent. Jam Jackson, it is 7 years. Is it 7 years unbeaten at the Toffees? I think so. I think that's what we were looking at before. Belgium Villa said a McPhee set piece masterclass for Everton. 3-0 Everton. Another Conser and Martinez masterclass. Buendia and Bailey shots will end up at Anfield, and Martinez's goal kicks will end up in Scotland. Now I know what he does. He goes in with the lowest of expectations, so that then when we win, he's happy, and he loses, he says he's right. David says 2-0 Villa. Adam says, I pray we don't concede from a set piece. 1-0 Villa in a tight game for me. Rich, what are you saying, mate?
Hello?
We lost you.
Rich,
He's leaving us in suspense, lads.
He's leaving us in suspense.
Here
Kev, here he is.
I'm back here. I agree with what Sam says. 3-1 Villa, and I think it's going to be 3 headers: Cons and Mings, Martinez.
Very good.
Martinez in the 98th minute.
Yeah. I hope it's 3-1. Watkins, Coutinho, and Duran. Yes, Sam. I think you've got exactly my thoughts spot on. So, and I think it's going to be tight. You know, I don't think it's going to be 3-1 early on in the game. I think it'll be 2-1 for a while. It'll be tight, and we'll just have Duran or whether. I'd like him to start. He probably won't. I think he'll score the third with about 5 minutes left to go.
Fair enough. Michael says 2-1 Aston Villa. Adamski says 3-1 Villa win. Nick James said, I think I must be in a pessimistic mood. I reckon they'll beat us 2-1. We will throw in a gutless performance and we'll upset Unai. I'll be keeping off Twitter all weekend if so. Yeah, me too, mate. Well, actually, I won't. Jam Jack says 2-1 Villa. So yeah, fairly positive. I think Gaza is in the house. He said 2-0 Villa. Kev, what are you saying, mate?
2-0 Villa. Ollie Watkins and John McGinn are going to score. That's my prediction. I think Watkins is going to do. I don't. Have we mentioned it yet? First Premier League player for Villa to score 5 games in a row.
Wow, I didn't know that.
No Villa player's ever done that before, so he could be the first player ever this weekend.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, so I expect him to be shooting from everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
he will know about that. Yeah,
and then it was literally pulling a name out of the hat for the other goal. So I just decided on McGinn.
Nice. Villa win away 2-1 from Rich. Adamski loves the positivity. Paul Welford says 6-0 to Villa. Duran 4, Watkins 2.
Paul's weekend started early. He's gone the best.
Yeah. Belgian Villa thinks Ellis Sims is going to score, so it's gone 5-0. Yeah, so I'm going to say 2-0 Villa as well. I think Watkins and Duran for me. And yeah, I don't think it'll be an easy game. I think we'll get one in the first half, and I think we'll get one about 60, 70 minutes to kind of seal it after weathering a storm. But yeah, I think we've all gone for a full house of wins. Get us back onto winning ways after 3 defeats in a row, and hopefully, yeah, push us on up that table and potentially start looking at top 10. Lads, go on. Sorry, Kev.
So get back on Sunday night and talk about how we were all wrong and we can bemoan the loss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Me and Kev, myself and Kev are going to the game as well, so we'll be enjoying it. Hopefully, coming back with the 3 points. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Rich, Sam, how does it feel to be back on the pod?
Yeah, it's like I've never left.
Nice. Sam.
It's like community service. I've got to do it every now and then.
Me and Kev just keep, every week without fail, and you lads just stroll in.
We're adding a bit with like the sprinklings on top. You guys are the consistent.
Sam. Yeah. It turns out you can polish a turd. Look what we've done.
Can I just say as well, Sam, you've clearly never had community service, because community service isn't just something you choose to do whenever you want.
Yeah.
I know. I sent you to 18 hours of community service when I fancy it.
Yeah.
If you're good enough, you can pick and choose.
Yeah, good shout.
Exactly. Yeah. Great having you on, boys. Great having you on. And hopefully we get the win on Saturday. Thank you everyone for watching. And the comments, like we always say, they really do make the show. So yeah, it's fantastic. All the comments coming in. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers. Keep an eye out for a 1,000 subscriber giveaway in the next few days. Boys, as I said before, it's been an absolute pleasure. Only one thing to remember is you'll follow the Villa. Night, everyone.
Cheers all.